Your crew finishes a late night office cleaning job. Floors are spotless, desks are wiped down, everything looks great, but the next morning the property manager calls. One of your team members knocked a laptop off a desk, and when it hit the ground, it took a docking station and a monitor with it. The client wants to know who is paying for it. You call your insurance company because you have general liability, and you figure this is exactly what it's for. The adjuster asks a few questions and then tells you there's a problem. The damaged property may fall under the care, custody, and control exclusion. Your general liability policy may not cover it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jim Eddington. My agency helps individuals and businesses with their insurance every single day. We work with cleaning business owners regularly, and this is one of the industries where the coverage gaps catch people off guard. That phrase the adjuster used, care, custody, and control, is the single most important coverage concept for anyone who runs a cleaning business. And most cleaning business owners have never heard of it until a claim runs into it. Most standard commercial general liability policies contain an exclusion for property that is in your care, custody, and control. That means if you're responsible for watching over it, if you have physical possession of it, or if you have authority to manage it, your general liability policy can deny coverage for damage to that property. For a cleaning business, this creates a real problem. Your entire job is being inside someone else's space, working around their things. You're moving furniture, you're handling equipment, you're cleaning surfaces attached to materials worth thousands of dollars. If a crew member knocks something over, spills a chemical on a granite countertop, or runs a buffer across a hardwood floor and damages the finish, the carrier can point to that exclusion and say the item was under your control when the damage happened. This applies whether you're cleaning a residential home or a commercial office. On the residential side, you're working around personal belongings, antiques, electronics, and custom finishes that homeowners deeply care about. On the commercial side, the dollar amounts can get bigger fast. Server equipment, medical devices, specialized machinery. One accident in the wrong room can turn into a 5-figure claim that your general liability policy will not touch. General liability still covers other things. If a visitor walks across a floor your crew just mopped and slips, that is a third-party bodily injury claim, and your general liability policy is designed for that. But the laptop scenario from the opening, or the damaged countertop, or the warped hardwood, those fall into the care, custody, and control gap. The property was in your hands when the damage happened, and that's where the exclusion can become a problem. There are ways to address this gap. Some carriers offer a care, custody, and control buyback endorsement or a voluntary property damage endorsement on the general liability policy. In some cases, a property of others inland marine form may be part of the solution. The exact answer depends on the carrier, and the policy form and the wording matters. This is where your agent earns their money, making sure the gap is actually closed, not just acknowledged. Cleaning business owners hear the phrase bonded and insured constantly. Most commercial clients expect it. Many residential clients ask about it, but a janitorial bond and a general liability policy are two completely different things, and they protect against two completely different risks. A janitorial bond is a type of surety bond, sometimes called a fidelity bond or a business service bond. It protects your client if one of your employees steals from them while on the job. That is all it does. It does not cover accidental damage. It does not cover someone slipping on a wet floor. It doesn't cover a chemical reaction that ruins a surface. It covers theft by an employee. Your cleaning crews have supervised access to offices, homes, and commercial buildings. They're in spaces with cash, electronics, personal items, and sensitive documents. A janitorial bond gives your client a financial guarantee that if something goes missing because of an employee, the bond will reimburse them up to the bond limit. Depending on how the bond is written, the bond company may have rights to recover after paying the claim. That's one reason a bond is not the same thing as a liability insurance policy. Being bonded matters for credibility. A lot of commercial clients will not sign a cleaning contract without proof of bonding. But being bonded does not mean you're insured. And being insured does not mean you are bonded. They work together, and most cleaning businesses need both. Cleaning is physical work. Your employees are lifting, bending, climbing ladders, working with chemicals, and operating equipment for hours at a time. Slip and fall injuries, chemical burns, repetitive strain, and back injuries are common in this industry. Workers' compensation covers medical expenses and partial lost wages when an employee is injured on the job. In most states, if you have employees, you're required to carry it. The requirements vary. Some states set the threshold at 1 employee, others at a higher number, but the exposure is there regardless of the legal minimum. Here's the part that matters beyond compliance. If an employee gets hurt on the job and you do not have workers' comp, your business is exposed to the medical bills and the lawsuits that can follow. Workers' comp is not just a regulatory checkbox. It's the coverage that keeps a workplace injury from becoming a business-ending event. A crew member mixes 2 chemicals that shouldn't be combined, inhales the fumes, and ends up in the ER. That medical bill is coming somewhere. Workers' comp is how it gets handled without destroying the business. Most workers' comp policies also include employer's liability coverage, which responds if an employee sues you over a workplace injury. That is a separate layer from the statutory benefits, and it matters. Cleaning businesses run on vehicles. Your crews are driving to job sites with equipment, chemicals, and supplies loaded in vans or trucks. If one of your drivers is involved in an accident on the way to a job, your personal auto policy may not cover it, especially if the vehicle is being used regularly for business. Most personal vehicles have exclusions for commercial use. Commercial auto insurance covers your business vehicles for liability and physical damage. If your driver causes an accident and injures someone, commercial auto responds. If you carry physical damage coverage on the van, it can cover the repair or replacement too. There's another layer that catches cleaning business owners off guard. If any of your employees ever use their own personal vehicle to drive to a job site or pick up supplies, your business can be held liable for an accident they cause while doing it. Hired and non-owned auto coverage address that exposure. It covers liability when an employee is driving a vehicle your business doesn't own for business purposes. A lot of cleaning businesses skip this because they think it doesn't apply to them. If even one employee has ever driven their own car to a client location, it applies. Cleaning businesses that are growing, adding employees, signing commercial contracts, serving both residential and commercial clients need more than just general liability. General liability is the foundation. It covers third-party bodily injury and property damage with the care, custody, and control gap addressed through an endorsement or a separate inland marine policy. A janitorial bond covers employee theft and satisfies commercial contract requirements. Workers' compensation covers your employees when they get hurt on the job. Commercial auto covers your vehicles and the liability that comes with putting drivers on the road. Beyond those, there are coverages that come into play as you scale. Employment Practices Liability Insurance, sometimes called EPLI, protects you if an employee files a claim alleging wrongful termination, discrimination, or harassment. If you have a team and you're making hiring and firing decisions, that exposure exists. Tools and equipment coverage, sometimes structured as inland marine, protects the vacuums, buffers, pressure washers, and specialized equipment your crews rely on. If a van full of equipment is broken into overnight, your commercial auto policy covers the van. It may not cover the equipment inside unless you have the right inland marine coverage in place. Commercial cleaning contracts aren't just asking you whether you have insurance. They often require specific limits, additional insured status, waiver of subrogation, workers' compensation, auto coverage, and bonding. A certificate of insurance proves the policy exists, but it doesn't show every exclusion, endorsement, or gap. The certificate may get you through the door, but the policy wording decides whether the claim gets paid. A business owner policy, or BOP, packages general liability with commercial property coverage and sometimes business interruption coverage at a bundled rate. For a cleaning business operating out of a small office or a storage space, a BOP can be a cost-effective starting point. The key is making sure the BOP form addresses the care, custody, and control exposure. Some do, some do not. Read the exclusions or have your agent read them with you. Commercial umbrella sits on top of your general liability, commercial auto, and employer's liability. It extends your limits. When a cleaning business signs a commercial contract that requires higher coverage limits, the umbrella is often how you get there without paying for inflated base policy limits. But an umbrella doesn't fix an excluded claim. If the underlying policy excludes the exposure, the umbrella may not solve that problem either. If you run a cleaning business, pull out your general liability policy and look for the care, custody, and control exclusion. It is almost certainly there. Then ask your agent how it is being addressed. If the answer is that it is not, that is the gap that will cost you money on the next claim involving a client's property. Ask about your janitorial bond. If you don't have one and you're bidding on commercial contracts, you're limiting the jobs you can win. Ask about hired and non-owned auto. Ask whether your tools and equipment are covered while they're in the van or at a job site. An independent insurance agent can shop this across multiple carriers and put together a program that fits how your business actually operates, not a one-size-fits-all package that misses the exposures unique to cleaning. We do this for cleaning businesses across Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and California. If you want us to look at your coverage, the quote link is below. Subscribe to the channel. We publish most business days, and what we cover is for business owners and homeowners who want to understand their insurance before they need it, not after. Thanks for watching.